This energy represents the boss energy, as she is able to obtain things, be able to acquire things in an effortless way. Hello my loves, welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Tatiana and I run a brand called The Universe, which focuses on feminine energies, health, personal development, and manifesting with our feminine energies. Today we're going to be covering the dark feminine energy. So we're going to dive into the topic. I'm going to give you some practices that you can follow, and we're going to end with a meditation. Also, make sure to check out the description box to get my free feminine energies guide. So, what is the dark feminine energy? The dark feminine energy is the duality within the feminine energies that is more connected to her inner depth, that is more grounded, that is more rooted in something bigger than herself. This energy is more controlled, it's more observant, it's more stoic, and also is more seductive, is more mysterious. A woman who accesses her dark feminine energy has access to the depths of herself, like the depths of the ocean. Dark energy in the universe is the unseen, unmanifested matter. So this energy is pure potentiality. This is the energy that in an ideal world we would have way easier time accessing, as the version of ourselves before there were any limiting beliefs, before there were judgment, before we were scared of even our own potential. This energy is not scared of her own depth. The dark feminine energy is rooted, is grounded, is always transforming, and is not judging herself or judging others. This energy is also prone to being misunderstood, with people judging, feeling insecure and triggered just by getting in contact with it, especially with other women, as it might trigger a side inside of themselves that might feel judgmental of what that other woman has, instead of looking at it as an internal feedback, letting herself know that she's also got it. So it's important to understand more of this energy, as this energy is very powerful. This is the energy that attracts effortlessly, as is deeply rooted and connected to something bigger than herself. This energy represents the boss energy, as she is able to obtain things, be able to acquire things in an effortless way. Also, this is the energy that is the scariest to hold, as you're holding how great you are, and not everyone is able to do that. It's one of the hardest things to do, as we've been conditioned to first require proof before we're able to believe in something. This is also why it's so important to do inner work, to be able to cultivate self-awareness, to be able to reconnect to that power that we all have access to, as both men and women have access to feminine energies, and the feminine energy is the one that is able to be the one that is the giver of life, the one that is connected to receptivity, to being able to receive from the universe. And the more that we're able to connect to ourselves, to build our connection to believing in ourselves, to be able to reprogram ourselves, to believe in ourselves, and not just believe in ourselves, like truly be able to be our own biggest cheerleader regardless of what's going on with life. That is when our dark feminine energy is powerful, and it speaks for itself. The evolved dark feminine is able to hold both boundaries and softness at the same time. So it's important to notice that this energy is able to collaborate with the light feminine energy, and also using the masculine energy to be able to be essentially a portal for a woman, for a person to be able to connect to the light side, the one that feels the boundaries first, and the masculine energy, the one that has to then take action to exude those boundaries. And the dark feminine energy is the one that essentially is the communicator between both of them. This energy, when evolved, when balanced, is able to believe in herself and be able to not allow any monsters and the game of life to be bigger than herself. She is able to conquer her own monsters first. She's able to hold a space for herself, where she feels safe, where she is okay filtering things through rather than just avoiding them. And she gains power from being able to have that connection to herself. So no monster is bigger than herself. No monster is bigger than her mission, than her heart's purpose. She is able to go back to that deep root connection where she gains her strength and she knows that she is okay. This is the energy that when we think of full moons, new moons, and being out in the dark, just being guided by the light of the moon, and we see a mysterious woman being able to allow herself to fully receive from the moon, from the forest, from nature, from her connection to something bigger than herself, that, you know, we see more in mystery movies, more like in TV shows that have more of that mystery involved. This is that type of energy, the one that is connected to herself even amongst the darkness. Even when things seem scary to others, she is able to go back to her own connection and she knows what to do. The evolved dark feminine energy is able to not waste time judging herself, judging others, as she is aware that there is no real benefit from doing so. Now, on the other hand, the unevolved version of the dark feminine energy is highly critical, is highly judgmental, and she also exudes an energy of unapproachability, of being more closed off, of not being able to allow others to see through her. She has forgotten her powerful connection to her source, to the divine, to God, Mother Nature, the universe. She unfortunately is lost within the illusions of the mind. She's not able to differentiate when something is real, when something is fake, when something is not true, when something is true to herself, and she spends time, energy, just exploring her own maze, a maze that goes nowhere. And she feels alone. She's not able to embrace her solitude as something precious, as an ability to be able to reconnect with herself. Rather, she looks at it as if people don't want to be around her, or that she is not worthy. This is why it's important to have time to self-reflect, journal, observe our own thoughts, and realize that we are not our thoughts. We are not what's happening in front of us. We are not part of the illusion that the mind plays. So it's important to spend time meditating and be able to be the observer of our own lives, to be able to not fall into these traps where we can spend a great deal of time, we can spend days, weeks, years feeling afraid to play in the game of life, as we feel that we don't have power, and believing that we don't have power when we absolutely have a say in everything that happens. So breaking free from those illusions, from believing that the monsters are real, believing that the monsters inside of the mind are real and outside are real, and just letting those monsters go. But when she's able to come back, and come back stronger than ever, she is unstoppable. She is able to know what to do. She's able to, regardless of what life throws her way, she is able to be deeply rooted in her own essence and her own confidence, and be able to know that things are gonna be okay, because now she knows what not to do. Now, some ways to practice the dark feminine energy include being able to get into deep meditations, those ones that feel like you're being hypnotized, but you're able to connect into a deeper state connected to your soul. This is powerful, to the point where you feel almost like you're falling asleep. This is when you're connecting to the divine, and you're able to get downloads, you're able to get information, you're able to get just realizations and just little light bulb moments coming through so easily, from being able to allow yourself to get to know your own self profoundly. This is powerful, and this is very, very deep. Other ways to cultivate the dark feminine energy is to allow yourself to create rituals whenever there's a new moon, a full moon, as they are both symbolic. The new moon is symbolic for new beginnings. The full moon is symbolic for completion. So being able to connect to our satellite, as the moon is our satellite for our planet, and be able to allow an effortless connection with intention. Another way to cultivate the dark feminine energy is to practice being the observer of your life. Practice detachment. Practice not judging others, not judging yourself, rather than criticizing, rather than having this judgment. Because when anyone judges, they first judge themselves first. There's a difference between having style, having standards, and criticizing others as a sport. That also means that that person has a very big inner critic. That person criticizes themselves highly, and it's not something that is healthy. The way that we talk to ourselves is the way that we also manifest more good things coming into our lives, or more things that are considered bad coming to ourselves, as we are allowing our inner talk to be something that is not positive. Even allowing a little bit of room for self-doubts, for negative talks within yourself, is enough to create an impact that is not healthy, that is not empowering. And we end up paying the consequences later on when bad things ended up manifesting in our lives, because we didn't even have our own backs. We didn't even believe in ourselves. And this is self-sabotaging. Another practice is to allow yourself from being able to hold both softness and boundaries. So if you need to set some boundaries, you can first feel them. You can allow yourself to be the observer and use your best judgment and notice when boundaries need to be enforced. You don't need to at first turn them into actions. You can set boundaries even with just your gaze, even with just your eyes. Even practicing in front of the mirror is something powerful, as this gives you feedback on your own body language. So if you need to enforce some boundaries just with your body language, you can say confidently, "No, thank you, that doesn't work for me," and just leave it like that and move on. Also, another practice is to be able to hold both giving and receiving, so that way you're able to work out a currency going on. So next time you're gifting a present to someone and you are receiving a present, practice both. Be able to give them from a heart-centered place. The other person is going to feel it, and allow yourself to receive from a deep heart-centered place, and you're gonna notice the difference, rather than just, allowing it to pass like clouds, when you can turn that moment into something precious. Okay, now let's get into the meditation. So allow yourself to sit up straight, so that way you are in alignment with your body. Or if you're laying down, make sure that you're also laying down in a way where you feel comfortable, but at the same time you feel that alignment with your body. We're gonna start by taking 3 deep breaths in and out. So let's start by breathing in through our nose and out through our mouth. We're gonna repeat that 2 more times. Inhale through your nose and out through your mouth. 1 more time. In through your nose, out through your mouth. And visualize yourself coming across to a beautiful forest where you can see the full moon in its beautiful radiant light. As you walk, you see some fireflies dancing up in the air. You see a pair of bunnies playing. You see other animals playing. And from a distance, you see an owl. As you keep walking, you come across to a figure with 4 legs and big blue eyes. You see a majestic wolf. You make eye contact with this wolf, and it starts approaching you. As the wolf gets closer, you have a deeper knowing that you are safe, and you reflect that safety and respect towards the wolf. You notice how this vulnerability makes you feel. Somehow, you feel empowered. And you make eye contact again. This time, by looking at the wolf's eyes. Those pure crystalline blue eyes make you feel so serene. In this moment, you get a message from your higher self. What is this message? Now, the wolf starts walking away towards a lake nearby. As you make eye contact one more time, you send your energetic goodbyes. And you observe you're now closer to the owl from earlier. This owl looks so wise and stoic, yet looks so soft and kind. You walk towards the owl, and with its big eyes, you catch your figure being reflected through the eyes. This owl has a message for you. What is this message? You thank the owl and notice a spot where the full moon's light lands graciously. You hear the sound of nature. You feel connected to this moment and start moving your hips, then moving your hands, then moving your body in a flowy and graceful dance. As you dance, you feel your body getting empowered and stronger through every move. You close your eyes and feel at one with your higher self, as if your body is an instrument to express how beautiful and divine you already are. Then you feel so much gratitude. You slowly come to your knees and surrender to your own power. Having nature celebrating you, an inner voice whispers, "I am powerful beyond belief." You appreciate this moment and stand up. You start walking again, saying your goodbyes, walking with an inner knowing that everything is as it's supposed to, and you're stronger than you ever realized, than you ever gave yourself credit for. Now, when you're ready, come back. If you got any realizations, I would suggest journaling them so that way you can have more of that self-reflection time to go even deeper. Thank you so much for your presence. I am so delighted to have you here. Feel free to share in the comment section your takeaways from this video. Thank you for your support to my channel by liking, sharing, and subscribing. If you would like to get notifications when I upload a new video, make sure to turn on the bell notification so that way you are the first to know. If you want more ways to stay connected with me and my world, check out the description box for more. I wish you a beautiful and fantastic day. I will see you in my next video.